You know, life doesn't owe you anything. Never complain. All you're owed is an opportunity. And in this country, you have an opportunity. I am a nice guy until somebody starts complaining to me about how hard they have it. And I have to tell you, nothing pisses me off more than people that complain. Or people that have this feeling that life owes them something. And I kind of really learned that from my dad. I mean, my dad was this really proud guy, and he would say that he was a political prisoner. He wasn't. He was just a young guy who liked to drink, and he would go to a bar in a communist country, drink a little too much and say, "Screw communism!" And they throw him in jail. And you know, the normal person would kind of make that connection. Oh, if I stand up in a bar and say, "Screw communism," and go to jail, this isn't a good thing. My dad took it the other way. He was like, "I'll show them." And so the next time he stood up, he said even worse things about communism. Fundamentally, he was a really proud guy, and he hated the idea of building equity or building capital and having to share it with somebody who wasn't working as hard as he was. You know, the thing I learned from my dad is he was okay with having nothing. He was okay with working really hard. He was okay with getting knocked down in life, but he wasn't okay if he created something and was successful that somebody would take it away from him. And that's what he hated about communism. And what I took out of all that is, you know, when we came to Canada, just to get a job, he had to work in a factory, and he swept floors and the whole 9 yards. And I'll never forget one time, because it was really hard for me. I grew up in this little village where my grandmother raised me, and I always liked to talk, and so I didn't have to work hard on the farm, and there was pigs and donkeys. It was, you know, it was pretty good as a small kid. And then I come to North America, and I got thrown into a classroom. I don't speak the language. I look funny. We're very poor. I never realized we were poor until I got here. I come home one day and I'm crying because the kids beat me up and they were mean to me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, nobody loves me. Why don't I have any friends? My life sucks. And I'm sitting there complaining to my mom, and my dad walks through the door, and he's kind of listening, and he had literally just walked 2 miles from the bus stop after having worked 2 shifts in the factory. And he's listening to this. When I'm done complaining, he looks at me and he says, you know, life doesn't owe you anything. Never complain. All you're owed is an opportunity. And in this country, you have an opportunity. And then he went to sleep so he could wake up the next day and work 2 more shifts. Right.
Pretty amazing.
So, you know, when you have that as your compass, it's really hard to complain. There are days, like everybody in this room, there are days where I see overbearing difficulty. There are days where I see more no than I see yes. There are days where I see harder things than I see opportunities, but it doesn't last that long. You know, it's not about eliminating that stuff out of your life. It's working through it and keeping going. Because it's really true, this is still the best country in the world to start a business. There is so much opportunity in the world today, especially with the internet, especially with the pace of change, especially with cloud computing.
Yes, that's right. And this is a period in which entrepreneurship is a golden profession to have. You get a lot of support.
It's the best job in the world to have, and you know, because of shows like Shark Tank, it's kind of become cool to be an entrepreneur, which is crazy when you think about it. I mean, look at the 5 of us. You couldn't have 5 weirder looking people. And in general, people think we're kind of cool. I mean, it just goes to show you how being an entrepreneur is really in the American psyche today.
There was a wise rabbi once said, if I am I because you are you, and you are you because I am I, then I am not I and you are not you. In other words, we are not separate. We define each other. We're all backs and fronts to each other.